Okay, so what we want to do is memorize those notes on the 6th string. Now, let's just kind of build this, and I'll kind of show you a shortcut from here. So when I pluck the 6th string, I have to know that this is E. Now, if I use my logic of my chromatic scale and I think, okay, there's no B sharp, there's no E sharp. Okay, so I have to remember that every time. So when I pluck this 6th string, I hear E. So if I'm going to go to the 1st fret of that 6th string, what comes after E? And if you answered E sharp, you are absolutely not right, right? We don't want to say E sharp because there is no E sharp. We're going from E open to the 1st fret of the 6th string, which is F. So for the rest of your life, think of this 1st fret of the 6th string as being F. That note's F, E, F. And then the next fret then, the 2nd fret would be F sharp. Now again, for us on the guitar, F and F sharp don't look different at all. On the piano, you've got a large white key and a small black key. On the guitar, they're just frets. So we don't really see it like that. So we have F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, because it starts all over, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E all over again. Pretty straightforward. So then what I would do is I would usually send a student home with this knowledge, and I would say, okay, I want you to go home and I want you to memorize those 12 notes. Okay, that's fine. So they come back the next week and I say, so how's it going? Well, pretty good. Okay, well, let's go through these. I want you to play me C. And they would go, and they would count up till they get to C. And I go, okay, so let's try B. All right, so they count up to B. D, so they count up to D, okay? And then I started thinking, well, how can we fix this so people aren't counting? Because we don't really absolutely know something if we have to count to get to it. And if we're standing in front of a group of people trying to play guitar, we don't want to be counting because it's just going to make us get more nervous. So what can we do? So here's a nice little shortcut if you don't already know this, okay? I'm going to teach you a really easy way of memorizing these notes on the 6th string, and it'll apply to all the other strings, and you'd be surprised at how quick you can learn these notes if you haven't already learned them already. So with the 6th string, we know it starts with E. The 1st fret is F, and we got that, okay? Let's take a look at your guitar for a second. And if your guitar is like most people's, you have dots on the top or some sort of symbol on the top, and those are always on the odd numbers. So for instance, my guitar has a dot at the 3rd, at the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, and then at the 12th, which is not odd, of course, but at the 12th fret, it has 2 dots, telling me that that's the octave. So I have one on 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, I have guitars that have one on 1 as well, so they have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Every guitar is different, you know. I've seen guitars that don't have any markings at all. They're just empty. So if you do have those markings, that's going to help you a little bit here. Okay, what we want to do is we want to focus on those dots because they are the odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, before we even get started on the notes, I want you to understand how important it is that you know those numbers. And it seems trivial, but a lot of times I'll go, okay, go to the 8th fret, and people will panic. Like they can't find the 8th fret. You want to know where these things are, so when you look at your fretboard, boom, there's the 7th fret. Boom, there's the 10th fret. Boom, there's the 15th fret. You can find whatever you need by looking down and absolutely seeing it. Okay, so let's apply some notes to this. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So we know that 1 is F. 3 on the 6th string, the 3rd fret right here, this is G. F, F sharp, G. This is G. 5th fret is A. 7th fret is B. Now let's just pause for a second. F, G, A, B. 1, 3, 5, 7. It takes us about 5 minutes literally to memorize that. F, G, A, B, 1, 3, 5, 7. Now what you need to do is you need to practice 2 things. And just remember this as we keep going through this. The first thing is, for instance, if you had someone that could quiz you on this sort of thing, you would have them ask you, all right, so what is at the 3rd fret? And you think, well, it's G. Okay, what's at the 7th fret? Well, it's B. What's at the 1st fret? Oh, it's F. What's at the 5th fret? Oh, it's A. And they can ask you, like with my students, I do it relatively quick, so I'll just say a number and then they'll say the name of it. So for instance, for you, I'm going to say a number and I want you to say the name of the note that I'm talking about. 1, F, right? Okay. 5. A, right? 7, 3, 1, 5, 3, 5, 1, 7, 3, 1, 5, 7. You see what I mean? I can keep going faster and faster, and somewhere in there, you've got it down perfectly, or somewhere in there, you start slipping because you're not exactly sure. So that's what you want to work on. Now let's keep going. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7, F, G, A, B. We know E is open. Got to obviously know that for tuning and all sorts of different things. So F, G, A, B. Okay? Now, what comes after B in the musical alphabet? And the answer is C, right? Because there is no B sharp, B and E. Remember the word B. So I'm on the 7th fret right now. So when I move up to the 8th fret of the 6th string, that note right there is C. Well, it's not on a dot, right? C sharp is actually on the 9th fret on the dot there. And D is on the other side on the 10th fret. So C and D are not on dots. The dots aren't there for the notes on the 6th string. The dots are just there, right? So what we have to think is C and D surround this dot. C and D surround that last single dot. So you have F, G, A, B, C, and D. F, G, A, B, C, and D. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. F, G, A, B, C, and D. I had a student a long time ago that referred to this as rabbit ears because I kept doing this with my fingers. So she said, they look like rabbit ears. So ever since then, I've thought about that, right? These are the rabbit ears, C and D, surrounding the 9th fret. Why not use the fretboard? Why not use the dots to memorize things? Make things nice and easy for yourself. F, G, A, B, C, and D. So again, now you have somebody quizzing you with numbers. What's at 3? What's at 8? What's at 5? What's at 10? What's at 1? Now you'll notice at this point, I'm always using F, G, A, B, C, and D, or 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. I'm not worried about 2. I'm not worried about 4. Let's not worry about those just yet. Okay? So the first thing is we have numbers. What's at 7? What's at 1? What's at 5? And so on. The next thing that you do, or you have somebody quiz you with, is saying, where is? Okay? Where is B? 7, right? Where is G? 3. Where is D? 10, right? Where is F? 1. Where is A? 5. Where is B? 7. Where is G? 3, and so on. So you're doing two things. You're memorizing the names of the notes and where they are, and you're memorizing the fret numbers and the note that's respective to that. Okay? So that's what I want you to really think about. You'd start with that and you'd memorize that absolutely. Okay? Don't kind of know it. Really, really know it. And remember, you don't need to be sitting with your guitar to memorize that. Okay? I used to just make little charts and I'd write down the names of the notes. But if you remember 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10, F, G, A, B, C, and D, you just sit there and think about it. Okay, B is 7, G is 3, C is 8, D is 10. Just roll it through your brain over and over and over. Okay? Now, once you've developed those notes, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10, the other ones are kind of a byproduct of that. If this is F, well, then this is F sharp. If this is A, well, then this is A sharp. If this is C, well, then this is C sharp. Okay? Instead of memorizing, and I don't know why, well, I guess I kind of know why, but breaking down the dots and then approaching it from that angle is so much easier for most people than trying to memorize all 12 notes. And think about it. You might be one of those people that knows every note in this fretboard back to back, but if you're like most people, you don't. You know some of the notes, you know some of the notes on some of the strings, and then you stop and you think about, well, why is that? Why is it that I've never really gone the whole way? It's like always kind of reading a book but never getting to the end of the book, you know what I mean? We want to finish that off. So we need to find a way that's fun, that's fairly straightforward, that we can work on repeatedly over and over and over and master it or make it absolute, right? So F, G, A, B, C, and D. And once you absolutely know those, then you know where those sharps are. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, D sharp, and so on. Now, for those of you, well, certainly with me as well, whenever I played guitar, I always thought of guitar in terms of sharps, okay? But then you start meeting other musicians, because a lot of times for rock and roll guitar players, we don't think of things in key signatures and those sorts of things, good or bad. And then you meet like a clarinet player and they're like, well, it's B flat. We don't call it A sharp. And they're absolutely right. Okay, so let's think about this in terms of flats too, just so you understand the concept. F sharp is at the 2nd fret. G flat is at the 2nd fret as well. F sharp and G flat, think flat tire, it goes down. F sharp and G flat are the same note. They have 2 different names for the exact same note. It's called an enharmonic. Enharmonic simply means you have a note with 2 names. F sharp, G flat. G sharp, A flat. A sharp, B flat. So wherever you have a sharp, you have an opposing flat. And that's just the way it works. So if you want B flat, it's A sharp. Whether we say B flat or think A sharp, it doesn't really make any difference as long as it makes sense to you. On paper, we might call it B flat more often because it makes more sense with the key signature. And we're not going to get into key signatures and all that right now. What I want you to do is learn realistic, usable stuff that's applicable right away for learning how to solo. Okay, if we want to learn a lot of theory, I do have a course that's available that talks about theory too, and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I want to get you playing. That's my goal of this course. Okay, and I want to change the way that you're playing. I want you to start using some sensibility along with all the other talents that you've got of moving and thinking and rhythms and licks and patterns and techniques and all kinds of different things. So this is just one more element that we're adding to our talent bucket, is beginning to know and break down our fretboard. What's going on this thing? Okay, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. You memorize those notes. Now you understand sharps go up, flats go backwards. A sharp is an opposing flat, right? G sharp is the same as A flat.